Yo, it's Riker. What is up, you amazing, beautiful people? I hope you're doing well wherever you're at, whatever time of day or night you're doing to watching this video. In today's video, we are going to be reviewing the Tier 3 American tank, the Locust, and it is a collector, so you will be able to make some pretty decent credits off of this Tier 3. So without further ado, let's get into the stats of this vehicle. So for the survivability, you have 490 hit points, which is pretty decent for this tank. The armor for Tier 3, it's a squishy tank. Most Tier 3s don't have that much armor unless you're the Panzer III, and even then you could get some troll bounces, so we'll go over that more in the armor inspector part of this video. Chance of fire when hit is 20%, and that is more towards the high end, so that is a little bit of a disadvantage, but nothing to worry about unless your engine does end up getting hit. View range is very good in my opinion for a Tier 3. You could definitely use this tank to spot enemy vehicles. Concealment is also extremely good for this Tier 3, and you could definitely work with that. And for the damage per minute, you have 961, almost 1,000 damage per minute, and for Tier 3 that is pretty decent. Reload time 3.12 seconds, which is not too bad. And for the average penetration of this tank, you have 56 for the AP and 78 for the APCR, which is not too bad in my opinion. I've not really had too much of a problem trying to pin this enemy tanks. Sometimes I might have to switch to the premium, but still I'll be able to pin them. And for the average damage, it is not too high. It's not one of the monster high alpha tanks at Tier 3, but it does get the job done with 50 for the AP and for 45 for the APCR. Aiming time is 2.1 seconds, so you don't really have to aim in at all. You could just snap shots off, no problem. And the dispersion is 0.336, which is not too bad in my opinion. And the gun turn limit going up, the gun elevation is 30, and that's probably the highest that I've ever seen on a tank. And gun depression is 10, so you could definitely go haul down or use ridge lines or whatever to your advantage in this tank. For the maneuverability, your top speed is 64 going forward and reverse 20, and average speed 41. And looking through these stats, turret turn rate 41.72, hull turn rate 46.81, and terrain crossing capacity 105 for the road, 96 for the ground, and 76 for the water. Overall, a very highly mobile tank, and you could definitely work with this and get to positions right away at the start of the battle. For the equipment, I am running gun rammer, as I don't really think calibrated shells is needed on this tank at all. Just get that damage per minute up a bit more, closer to that 1000 range. And I use defense systems just so everything could take more of a hit and be more durable. And for this one, I chose to go for improved optics instead of the camo net, as the camo is already very good on this tank, and I'd rather have that V range up so I could spot enemies before they could even spot me. And I chose enhanced gun laying drive so I could just snap shots off without even aiming in and still hit the enemy, and I don't really think supercharged is needed on this tank. And then for this, you could go either way with this, but I chose for enhanced armor, just to get that bonus armor, quote unquote, just adds 4% to your hull and turret armor instead of the HP, because I don't really think HP is needed on this tank, and the armor is pretty decent in just boosting that. You get some more troll bounces or just bounces in general, but this is up to you guys, just your personal preference and opinion on this equipment loadout. And for this one, I chose engine accelerator just to boost a little bit of everything in the mobility, as this tank already has a very good hull turn rate and improved control would just be a waste. Then for this one, I chose vertical stabilizer, same as the one above it, just to bring that aiming time down a whole lot, so I basically don't even have to aim in too much. I just zoom in, shoot, just basically quick scope. I zoom in very quickly, snap the shot off, and get back to the cover without the enemy even being able to hit me in return. And I don't really feel like refined gun is too needed on this vehicle. And these two are your own personal preference. I just choose toolbox in case I run out of a repair kit and I'm stuck out in the open. I could just repair the engine and the tracks faster if they are destroyed, instead of just being stuck and trapped out in the open. And high-end consumables just for that engine power boost, so it could last longer and I could get to positions more quickly. For the ammunition on this tank, I chose 40 AP and 10 APCR. I wouldn't really change this too much. If I were to change it, I'd take 5 away from the AP and put 5 more into APCR, but that's it. And even then, I don't really think that would be worth it in my opinion. Then for the consumables, I chose the only two that you could get, the multi-purpose restoration pack and the engine power boost. And that does it for this part of the review. I'm going to hop in Armor Inspector, show you guys what kind of armor this has, and how it would look like in a hull down position. Then I'll tell you how to play this tank and show you the 2 replays I have, which are masteries. And right away you can see that this tank does not have the most insane or best armor at all, besides the gun mantlet area, and at certain angles the turret does have pretty decent armor, but other than that this tank pretty much has no armor. Just looking at the front upper plate of the hull, 27 at this angle and 30 for the lower hull, and this little part right here is 25 for the turret, 36 on this cheek, 28 on that cheek, and the roof is 91. So if somebody tries to shoot the roof, they are not going to be able to pin it, or this gun mantlet, nobody is going to be able to pin that, as one part of it was 132 millimeters if you saw that. And for the sides of the hull, it is going to be 10, 13, and 25 for the turret. Anybody's going to be able to pin that. Rear 13, 25, right there, 113 to 50. Maybe not these parts right here in between the turret and the hull, but definitely the turret and hull will be pinnable. And this side is exactly the same as the other. Back when I said I would choose the enhanced armor instead, I might actually go back and change that to the one that gives you more hit points, the improved assembly, I believe it was called, because this tank has no armor. But in the 2 mastery replays that you will see, I was using the improved armor, I think it was called, the one that gives you plus 4% bonus turret and hull armor. And in a hull down position, this is what it looks like. I'm going to throw up the black screen just like any other review. Check the front plate. It is 52 millimeters. Not many tier 3s will be able to pin that. Only this part right here, 27 millimeters. Turret is still kind of weak. People will definitely be able to pin your turret, but not the gun mantlet. So I would just pull up, get a shot off, pull back into cover. And as soon as I'm reloaded, pull back again, get another shot off, and pull back into cover, so I do not get hit in return, hopefully. And even if they do take a shot at me, they'll have to be aiming at the turret cheeks and instead of the upper plate, because most people will be able to bounce the upper plate if I am not mistaken, because it is 52 millimeters and definitely not going to be able to hit that gun mantlet. But just to be on the safe side, just pull up, get a shot off, and get back into cover before the enemy could have a chance to hit you. Now, how would I play this tank? I would use it to spot the enemy right at the start of the battle, as you will see in the 2 replays I have for you, and then play kind of aggressive and passive at the same time. Get into the position where enemy can't really hit you, like a hold down position, like I said, pull up, get a shot off, and get back into cover before they could light you up. Yes, this is tier 3, and if you are experienced, you could pretty much dominate the entire battle, but if you're not careful, you could just easily get destroyed at the same time. And there could be new players on your team relying on you in order to win this battle for them. So we'll go more over how to play the tank in the 2 mastery replays that I have for you. And speaking of those, let's dive right into the first one. This first battle is going to perfectly demonstrate what I meant about when I go ahead and spot the enemy team first, see where they're going before I go ahead and act. And since it is tier 3, I do tend to be way more aggressive than I am in the higher tiers, as you will see, and sometimes being way too aggressive does get you into a bad situation. But without further ado, let's get into this replay. Right away, I get into the spotting position right here. You guys may know this, you guys may not know this. I'll try to do that in a map review that I'll do later on. But there is the Cruiser 4, I think that was, spotted over by the right hand side, and there's the D2. Try to get a shot into him, however, it does not connect. Take a shot at that BT7, that does not connect either. I don't know if they were just ghost shells or what, but I take the 3rd shot at the T2, well, 2nd shot at the D2, and it finally penetrates. And this is what I meant being super aggressive, and it sometimes gets me into a sticky situation. Because there's the BT7 there, and then there's the Cruiser 4 near their spawn, and then there's a Panzer 3 right in that sniping bush. You can barely see it in the corner right there, and there's a Chiha right next to the BT7. So effectively, I cannot move at all unless I want to get lit up. So I just have to sit here and trade with this BT7 because of the position I got myself in. However, I am able to out DPM him and take him out of the game. See if I can get a shot on that Cruiser 4, however I cannot. And there's the Panzer 3. So I go ahead and try and focus him since he's really the only tank that I have a lock on right now. Getting 2 shots into him before he backs into cover. Keeping an eye on that Chiha in case he decides to pull out and focus me, and also that Cruiser 4. Keeping an eye on him. I'm not sure if he's AFK or not. So I'm just going to focus this Panzer 3 for a little bit. I check over on the Chiha again, And I'm realizing if I poke up a little bit more, I could just get a lot of shots into that Chiha, lower him down to very low health. If not, I could possibly take him out of the game. And I got a hit from that Panzer III. Trying to back up, get shots into that Chiha at the same time, keep an eye on that Cruiser 4, and I'm checking on the Panzer III since he was able to get a shot into me. And now I'm going to go ahead and do a peek-a-boom to him, pull out, get a shot, and quickly pull back to cover, and he might have a chance of hitting me. Get another shot into him, and he just decides to full send it. I did not think he was going to do this. I thought he was going to back up into cover, but I realized what he was doing as soon as he takes out my M5 Stuart. Pretty much all the help over here is gone. It's effectively a 1v3 right now, and I'm pretty much a 2-shot, if not a 1-shot. So I have to focus this Panzer III. I am a definite 1-shot now. Panzer III misses his shot. I'm focusing the Panzer III since he's a 1-shot, and our 14 TP ends up taking him out of the game. Cruiser 4 is taken out by my platoon mate, and all that's left is the Chiha. So I decided to pull up, get a shot, and quickly get back into cover before he could shoot me and delete me from the game. And I'm just waiting for my teammates to move up. Platoon mate gets a shot into him, and I think he took him out of the game. Yes, he did. For the win and the mastery, doing 1,119 damage, and for a tier 3 collector, it makes pretty decent credits. And one tank destroyed. I believe we are on top of the leaderboard, if not second for this battle, but that battle really did demonstrate the mobility of this tank, the DPM, because it is a tier 3, the DPM's not going to be like insane like the higher tiers, but it does have very quick firing gun and a pretty decent amount of DPM and alpha for a tier 3 tank. And this next battle is pretty much going to be demonstrating the same things, just in different order, and more of me in a hull down position and being more passive instead of super aggressive, as you will see. And I decided to let my teammates go first so I could see where they are going, and I see that my platoon mate starts heading over to the left hand side, so I start moving towards the left hand side and staying more in the middle in case the enemy team appears on the right hand side of the map, and I could just quickly go and assist my team. I'm pushing up through these dunes, using them as cover, and there's the, I'm just going to call that the Tet because I have no idea how to pronounce that, but I get a shot into him, and there's the Cruiser 4. I'm going to start focusing Cruiser 4 for a little bit, and pretty much if you look at the minimap, the entire enemy team is spotted towards the base area in the middle of the map, so I have to focus these guys and keep an eye on them, making sure they won't just rush me or go ahead and flank around us. Getting more shots into that Cruiser 4, but I see the BT2 just sitting out in the open. I see opportunity to dish out some damage and probably take another gun, well, not another, a gun out of the game since nobody is taken out yet. He's now definite 2-shot for me, maybe a 1-shot. There we go, he's definitely 1-shot, and my teammates do end up taking him out, and the Cruiser 4 is still sitting out in the open, so I go ahead and punish him by getting a shot into him, maybe a second one. There we go, second shot, maybe a third one. Yes, we get a third shot, possibly a fourth. No, he makes it back into cover, and I notice that the Panzer 35 is flanking the left-hand side, so I decide to reposition and focus him so that he doesn't flank around my team and take us out of the game. It looks like one of my teammates did have the same exact idea. I go ahead and rush over from the side, hit him, and I was going to circle death him, but I figured I'd just go ahead and brawl him a little bit. Again, I do not really recommend brawling in this tank since it has pretty much no armor, but you can get the troll bounces here and there, and if they hit that gun mantlet. And I was going to try and circle death this Panzer 35, however, I try to stop and juke him out. However, he does get a shot into me, and I figured it's just 1 or 2 more hits that I could take, that he's going to be able to hit into me. I could take them, and I could just easily out-TPM him and take him out of the game like we did right there, and looks like my platoon mate took out somebody else. And there's the Tet. I think he might be the same one towards the start of the battle that we focused, and I tried to shoot through that hut. I did not realize this tank had such a small caliber gun that it wouldn't go through, because I'm just so used to shooting through those things at the higher tiers. So I just decided to ram him, and since he's the last tank, I figure if he ends up taking me out somehow, my team could easily take him out. And my platoon mate comes in and assists me, and we end up taking out the enemy tank for the win, and yet another mastery. And I deal 1,174 damage. Again, decent credits for a tier 3 collector tank and 2 tanks destroyed. And I think we are on top leaderboard for this battle. And I think that battle really demonstrated yet again the mobility of this tank, how effective it can spot enemy tanks, and also it can be played more passively instead of aggressive like the first battle. But what are going to be the price ranges for this tank that I would go for? it is a tier 3 and it's not going to come out for crazy prices. Almost everybody can afford it. Usually it comes out in bundles or for money offers, and that would be around $5 or $6. $6 would probably be the most, but $5 for the standard. That's probably the most that I would possibly go for a tier 3 tank. And for gold, the absolute max is not going to break 1,000 gold. Probably like absolute max on gold, maybe 800-ish gold if it does come out for gold. But from what I've seen so far, it usually just comes out for money, and that's usually around $5. So yeah, this is a very effective tank and very good for a tier 3, and it's one of my favorite tier 3s that I do come back here and there throughout the months and just play every now and then. But if you found this video helpful in any kind of way or form, or if you learned something new, or just like the video in general, go ahead and smash the like button, leave a comment on your favorite part of the video or anything in general down in the comment section below, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so you're always notified when I upload a video. And with that being said, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.
How does it feel to breathe when you're dead? They never seen you out of your